Hello and welcome to this episode of the Be Free podcast. So, this episode is the beginning of our sober series, and I decided just to run this little mini series of just like some shorter snippets and episodes after celebrating 6 years sober myself in March, and just wanted to I know so many of you are curious about this and kind of trying it for yourselves. So I thought I'd get some people on who've traveled this journey and just share their wisdom. So the first person on my journey, and have like specifically done it in this order because I haven't recorded my episode of my sober journey yet. But I thought I would share with you my lovely husband, Stuart McWilliam, on the podcast today. So hello, Stu.
Good morning again. Nice to see your beautiful face.
Ah, thank you. So, Mr. McWilliam, do you want to just share? Obviously, like I know who you are. Do you want to share a little bit about who you are?
Yep, Stuart McWilliam, um, recruiter, director of company, coach, mentor, um, husband and father,
Mhm.
and a friend to many people.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. So, yeah, like I wanted to kind of just like start with you on this experience. As I said, like I know that it's like something that a lot of people are getting curious and they come to this path for different reasons with regards to how they kind of you know, fall into or consciously arrive at this sober space. But yeah, what did you decide to go alcohol free?
I think sometimes certain behaviors are come into fashion or become fads or become highly high topics. But I think drinking has always been a challenge for quite a lot of people, um, and for me, I think it was actually a long time coming. If I'm being honest, having never really opened up like this before, because the journey I took was a self journey without going to any um, support groups and stuff like that. So, um, I'd seen the signs, um, and I reckon I probably ignored them. Um, um, I tried on a number of occasions to try and kind of cut back, take less, have dry weeks, have the January dry every other year, and realised the benefit of that period where you weren't drinking in terms of freer thinking, getting up easier in the morning, a bit of clarity, smarter thinking and stuff like that. Um, but drinking and it taking you over is actually, as we know, is an illness,
Mhm.
and unless you eradicate the deep-rooted illness, it will resurface itself again. And I think that's obviously what happened in my case. Um, and the straw that broke the back for me was sort of pressure situations. In terms of an economic crash in a market when I had my own business, um, the loss of some money during that time, um, a delayed reaction to relationship challenges and so forth, and it just kind of hit me. And I think that you, there needs, unless you want to stop, I think it's difficult no matter what influencers you've got round about you, or people trying to persuade you, or even family trying to kind of help you.
Mhm.
Um, as loving and as daring as that all is, unless you internally want to stop, I think it's quite. You always find a way to have another sneaky drink, I think.
Mhm.
So I think that's what happened with me, and it was a rock bottom point of reality. that kind of hit me, that made me really take the situation seriously. And that's what made me stop in April 2018.
Mhm. Thank you so much for sharing so honestly, because I know there's going to be people listening to this from different angles. You know, some people stop drinking. I think that the general, like, when people say, "Oh my God, you've stopped drinking, what, were you an alcoholic, or did you," like, for some people
Yeah,
that is the case. And for many, it's not at all. Like many, it's like a lifestyle choice. But I wanted to start with this conversation with you today because um I appreciate your honesty and like being so candid and open there about you saying, you had tried many times before
yeah,
to
yeah,
stop drinking and felt the benefits, but ultimately, um from your position, you'd hit that rock bottom, and it was actually an illness as opposed to just like, oh, a lifestyle choice. Because I think like drinking, was a fad, is trendy. Being sober could sometimes be classed as a fad or trendy, but actually, for some, that's not the case.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I agree with that.
Yeah. You'd mentioned like you'd kind of had the signs before, but hadn't really tuned into them. What kind of signs had you noticed? Can you remember or?
Um, well, things like erratic behavior,
Mm,
um, too many lost days the day after, um, relationship incidents, challenges, family impact,
mm,
um, the knowing that you can't do a certain type of thing because you know that it will be difficult because you're going to probably have a drink. Um, um, so things, obvious things like that. I think
mhm.
that I think a lot of people have, but it's just not. Your conscious mind just doesn't recognize it.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? It's having the awareness, because there's so
Yeah,
many people will, have glasses of wine in the evening as a tool to support themselves, as you mentioned, and those lost days and all that. But when it does begin to impact your life or your family's life or all those kind of things, um, it's having the awareness of that. You're so right. I think
definitely.
a lot of people probably
Because
don't.
I remember reading about Eric Clapton, and he didn't think he was actually an alcoholic, and he didn't think he drank a lot. It was only when he had to not have a drink, he realized, oh my God, I can't do that.
Hmm.
And then that's when he realized, I've actually got a drink problem. So it's not that you have to go and get binged all the time
Hmm.
or have, copious amounts of drinks that you black out. Having, as you say, having a regular one or two or three glasses of wine of an evening, just thinking that you're relaxing or it's de-stressing you,
Hmm.
until you don't do that and stop doing that, and then you realize, oh wait a minute, I actually need that. That's when I think you've got a challenge, and
Yeah.
you've got that as an identifier for you.
And then you mentioned challenge there. So like when you first stopped drinking initially, how did you find it initially?
Embarrassing,
Mm,
very embarrassing, um, weak, um, lonely. Um, I know that you'd actually gone to some support groups.
mm-hmm,
I was too embarrassed to do that, and because I'd always been in control of everything in my life, business, etc. The thought of not having that control compounded the issue. Really, I think. You know, it wasn't until I reached the point of vulnerability, um, I truly feeling vulnerable, um, that I actually felt that I could actually seek support. and assistance. I mean, it was actually quite a traumatic period in the run-up, the event, and then the post. But I think it also, during that period, I had to have changed behaviours, changed habits, changed activities, and so forth. And unless you want to do that, you're just not going to do it. And so I think that during that period, those are the kind of emotions that I was going through at that time. Maybe I shut myself off from my friends. I didn't go to the social things that I might have done in the past. I protected myself from that environment. And I think subconsciously, until I felt I was well enough to actually, put myself in that position again in the future. Didn't go to any events, etc., and so forth. So it was like I closed myself off to get myself healthy and protect myself, if you like.
Wow, this is really interesting because obviously you're my husband. And I feel myself getting quite emotional doing this interview because, for those of you that are listening, this is kind of the first time for me hearing some of this as well, like just the emotions. And then obviously, like, we're 6 years on from you stopping drinking. And yeah, like when I thought about doing this podcast series, yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting hearing everybody's stories because actually I thought this was just going to be like kind of like a light topical series, but actually there's so much more to it, right? There's so much more value and vulnerability you've mentioned there, and all the, like, I think as we explore the challenges that people face as they navigate this path of sobriety, yeah, it's quite interesting hearing that.
I think if you're honest that drink as a problem is not a light topic.
Yeah, 100%.
And it is a topic where it impacts so many people's lives, not just the actual drink abuser, if you like, or the drinker, but those around about them that they don't see because they're caught up in just having that drink or that crutch that they think is actually making them de-stress or feel better or and so forth. You just don't see that until sometimes it's too late for some people.
Yeah.
Relationships break up, families have had enough. I've been fortunate enough that you all held on, I feel like.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously challenges. However, what would you say has blossomed from this experience?
Um, well, I think setting, new boundaries and new behaviours that are actually healthier. Decision making has been a lot better because it isn't around that activity. It's not around when will the next one be or what do I have to do to get to the next stage or the next drink and stuff like that. The fact that I cut myself off, I've reopened up myself. I think I've reopened up a healthier person to other people as well. So a healthier lifestyle, both physically, emotionally, and mentally. I believe healthier relationships, with the kids, with friends, with business associates. It's provided me with more clarity in terms of thinking. It's not through the haze and the smoke of alcohol residue. Self-honesty, um, you know, because when I think you're caught up in the habit of drinking, you're being dishonest in many ways. And that itself compounds your situation because you start feeling guilty about what you're doing, or you're guilty about not being there for people, or you're guilty about letting people down, but you hide it. You don't, you're not honest with yourself about it. You can sell it off any way you like because you know you're going to go and have another drink. So, that clarity, that honesty has been great. I've actually started, coaching and mentoring other men, in this area because I know how difficult it was for me. So I've been coaching and mentoring, some people who are having difficulties facing it, but feel safe in the environment. I can talk honestly with somebody like me who's actually got some practical experience and not just been trained in the actual mentoring and coaching. So that's been a tremendous benefit for me. Because I've always been for other people and trying to help other people and all that in my career. This gives me a rewards that I just can't explain, a sense of satisfaction, knowing that you can actually help and impact other people through your own experience. So something good that's come out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you mentioned like that kind of changing behaviors, doing different things, and I think even as a family, I remember when we were, so I'd stopped drinking before Stuart, and I'll share that in the next podcast episode. But, just having that flexibility, like we would just like jump in the car, like, drive to a castle at like 9 o'clock on a Friday night with the kids, or like get up super early and watch the sunrise and go for breakfast. And like there was all these different things that we like hadn't done before. And just even like, I don't know, got away paddle boarding and like all the different things that we do now. Without like it's opened up different avenues for us, I guess.
Yeah, without a doubt. And knowing that you don't have to do anything to be able to do that. If you wanted to do that before, you would have to not drink the night before, or you'd have to not have to do that. No, you don't have to worry because it's not not part of your activities and your behaviours anyway. So having that joy of freedom, I think there's definitely, because you become a prisoner to alcohol, and whenever you're a prisoner, that there's lots of things that are cut off from you as a course of being a prisoner to that activity.
Yeah. So obviously, like the majority of people that listen to this podcast are looking to kind of improve their mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health. Like the sober journey, like how did you begin to navigate that? What things did you put in place, or what things do you currently do to support yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, now that we like don't have alcohol to rely on? Like what's your go-to things that you love to do?
Everything, I suppose, really. It's just the freedom that it actually allows. I we started, having healthier smoothies. We've started having healthier eating habits. We can go and see other places. I golf a fair amount to get out in the fresh air. I think that the fact that I don't feel there's anything hidden, that I can be honest with anything. I mean, I could talk about, I haven't talked about it like this before, but with my mates and all that, I could talk about it with ease. And I've now become the designated driver when going out with social events and all that kind of stuff. And it's great because I see the state of them, and I can just see the evening going like that for them.
Yeah, I think like so getting
knowing
into
what they're going
nature
to
is a
have
big
face
one.
tomorrow morning.
Sorry, I just interrupted you there.
No,
But
that's all.
yeah, getting into nature is obviously big for you, for your mental
Yeah,
health, your golf,
definitely. Out
um,
walking, yeah, fresh
yeah,
air,
your dog.
yep, definitely walking the dog. And just being there, being around and being available, engaging as opposed to shutting off.
Yeah,
Um,
seeing people's a big one for you, isn't it? You like
yeah,
thrive
definitely. Yeah,
off of being
yeah,
around people.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, so my podcast is still at this point called Be Free, and I love to ask people, freedom for me is such an important value, and I think it's something that many of us seek that sensation. So what is it for you that gives you that experience of feeling free?
Um, I think, well, be, going golfing.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, that's just a different addiction, but a healthier one,
Yeah.
if you like. Um, and just being available, being around, and being able to kind of jump in the car and go and do something, or now we've moved into a new house and a new venue and location. There's a lot to explore.
Hmm.
Even though it's been on our doorstep for years, there's a lot to explore. So
Yeah.
I love it getting out and about and being able to just walk out of the house and not have to drive somewhere
Hmm.
to do that. So uh,
Amazing.
that's for me is the freedom element.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to come on my podcast and be so open and honest and vulnerable, because I realize obviously I'm your wife, and this is a global audience that you've never kind of spoken about this so candidly before too, and I'm deeply appreciative, and I know that it will probably support many people and men as well, to hear this conversation. Um, if there are any guys out there who wanted to connect with you, or even women, in and around this topic, are you happy for me to share your email
Definitely, yeah,
address
without a
in
doubt.
my show notes?
Yes.
So I shall share.
smcwilliam at cootsmany.com. Definitely share that, my mobile number,
Hmm.
um, without a shadow of a doubt. It's just a call away.
Hmm.
That's all it is, really, for some people.
Hmm.
Just a call.
Yeah.
And it's surprising. I mean, what I would say is that for anybody who is experiencing or feel like they are, or are denying the admission,
Hmm.
you'd be surprised. The unlikeliest person will actually be your biggest supporter.
Hmm.
But if they don't know, there's nothing they can really do about it. So
Hmm.
really, if you can speak to somebody, you will be surprised at their reaction.
Yeah.
Give it a go, try it. People care, really, and ultimately, people really care. Your friends are your friends for a reason, and I
Hmm.
think that if you can share with them how you feel, I've no doubt that there'll be a support mechanism available for you.
Hmm.
Um, so just you know, seek it out if you feel that you're actually in a vulnerable position.
Yeah. Thank you. And for anybody listening who has been kind of affected by this subject, or, Stuart, obviously, he didn't use the group Alcoholics Anonymous, but he mentioned that I went to a support group, and the support group that I went to was a group called Al-Anon. And Al-Anon, and I'll pop a link here so you can check it out, see if there's meetings beside you, is actually for family members, friends who are affected by alcoholism. So they like their family member or friend, is an alcoholic, and they're like, coping with this challenging situation from the other side. So yeah, so you have your Alcoholics Anonymous, you also have Al-Anon, and then there's a number of obviously support services available that you can check out as well. So is there anything else you want to add before we jump off, my darling husband?
No, just thank you for the opportunity. Um, I think that doing it in this way is physically easier,
Mhm.
feeling like you're actually being interviewed
Yeah. Yeah, I know
by
it's
someone
funny
else.
because like we're both like anybody who's watching this on YouTube or yeah, watching the video will see that Stuart and I are actually on two different Zooms. And I'd said to Stuart before, do you not just want to sit beside me? And he was like, no. Like, so he's downstairs and I'm upstairs and we're recording this podcast. And yeah, I agree. It gives that degree of separation whereby yeah, I'm glad that you felt that you could be so honest and vulnerable and it's powerful. Like I know when I
Definitely.
share my stories, I think sharing our vulnerable stories, and I've been speaking a lot about this week in my social media, my email list, is so powerful because I people think people have their shit together, right? Everybody views everybody else as having their shit more together than them, right?
Yeah.
Or oh well, they're so lucky because of blah 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 blah, or oh, it's all right for them because of blah 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 blah. I'm the only one that's struggling, or I'm the only one that feels this way. When actually, if more of us opened up, shared our stories, and were vulnerable, people would realize, oh shit, I am normal. Like there's nothing like, it's okay for me to seek support. It's okay for me to tell somebody exactly what's going on for me, the good and the bad, right? Because sometimes we suppress the good because you're like, oh God, I don't want people, thinking, oh, check her out, bragging her ass off, you know?
Yeah. It's just a facade in many cases.
Yeah.
People putting on a face for other people, but really deep down and inside, they are they're crying in a lot of incidents.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I would say if there's anybody genuinely who feels that they don't know where to go or they don't know what to do, then please do. I mean, I've worked in a confidential industry for 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
Please reach out because that one call could literally change your life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Um, love you loads, Mr. McWilliam.
Thank you. Love you too.
And I will be
And
back.
good luck with the rest of the series.
Oh, thank you. I will be back with yeah, my one. Just maybe get you to interview me for my one. Ask me the questions that I've just asked you. And yeah, interesting. Thank you so much for being here. Really, really appreciate it. And
Thank you.
I will pop Stuart's details in the show notes below,
Please
or
do.
simply drop me a message. Stuart isn't so active on social media, so if you do kind of try and track him down that way, he is
Email, mobile.
unlikely to
Yes.
respond. Don't take it
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, email him, phone. You'll grab him that way. All righty. Speak to you
Okay.
soon, my darling.
Enjoy the
Thank
rest
you
of your
so
day. Thank you very
much.
much. See you
Bye.
later. Bye. Bye.